Hi everybody, this is Pramita here, and as promised, we are going to start this journal cover for the trifold journal cover that comes with the Pink Watercolor Christmas kit, which is now available in my Etsy store. So we are going to do it. You can simply fold this up and make it, but I'm going to be doing this a little bit differently. So I'm going to be making the cover from envelopes, and I'll show you what I mean by this. So what I have here, in the meantime, what I've done is I've mostly cut out all the elements that came in the kit, and I have it all ready to be used, and I have the cover, okay, and I have these envelopes. These are, I think, 9 by, just a second, let me measure this up. So these are 9 by 5, I guess. I'm not sure. 9 by 4, sorry, not 5. So they are 9 by 4. They're pretty tall, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use them as the journal cover. Now they are also wider, so I need to trim them on both the sides. You can skip this part. You can just line this with cardstock, or if you're printing this on a cardstock cover, cardstock paper, then you can use it whatever you want. Or if you're using this as an ephemera in the journal itself, then you don't need to do heavy cardstock backing sort of thing. But since I'm making this as the journal cover itself, I'm going to be using these envelopes. So the thing is that I'm going to be using these envelopes as the journal base, and they're pretty sturdy, but I need to trim them down. Okay, so I'm going to be trimming them down on one side, and so that I'll be able to glue these, because the backs are going to be glued. This will have the opening, you can put some stuff in, and I can put a pocket over here because I'm going to cover this part up also. You'll see the process. So probably today we're going to start a little bit and show you how you can use envelopes on trifold covers like this. And also I have brought out this paper stack. This is a cardstock paper stack. This is from DCWV. This is one of their very old collection, but what I found was this paper is very shabby chic kind of thing, and there are lots of pink papers in it which would probably go well with the theme that I'm working on. So I'm going to use, I will probably use some papers from here. So I have this close by, and then of course I have my Stamperia papers which would also coordinate with these. So actually I wanted to keep things in such a way so that you can use your leftover Christmas paper kits or whatever, which would totally go with the kit that we are talking about. So I also have the papers cut down and ready, but that's going to come later on. Right now we need to cut down the envelopes. Okay, so the envelopes are not going to be more than 4 inches. Okay, so I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap so that, okay, so one trick that I usually do is when I'm working on a white surface like this, sometimes it's very difficult to figure out the exact fold. So what I do is I just mark it out with some distress ink, or whatever ink that you have on your dauber or on your blending tool, just to mark the edges, nothing much. So if I place it over here, this is going to be like this. Of course you can cover the entire envelope, but we are not going to do that. And in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this, because I will not trim off the extra entirely. I'm just going to fold this. Now this totally depends on the length of the envelope that you're using. I'm using this 9x4 kind of envelope, so this is how it's going to look. Okay, so I've folded, I'll just tell you how much I've folded up. 1 1/4 kind of I've folded up, and I'm going to be laying this down, but before that we're going to work on the trimming part. So here, just a second, let me draw a line. So this is the line that I'm talking about. So, but you don't have to do this, it's just that I wanted to show you a different method through which you can, you know, build a trifold cover like this, but you can obviously go the usual method. So I'm going to be trimming this down, and okay, so what I can do is I'm just going to shape this a little bit. So I can probably use this as a template, the one that I've cut down, and then I can just okay, so here we have the envelope that's going to go in on this side. Okay, and then we're going to do the same for these two, and I'll come back to show you how it looks. Okay, so I have cut these down, they are identical more or less, and you can see there are enough there is enough space between the, you know, the two sides, I mean the envelopes, to fit in the signature and then have this as a closure. So it's going to be okay. One thing that I would like to do is strengthen the spines a little bit. That can be done with masking tape, or if you have fabric you can use that, or paper tape or whatever. So I'll use masking tape in this case, because masking tape takes inking also very well, so that's good for me. And I'm also going to be covering these envelopes up and show you how they look. Okay, so the first things that we need to decide is that the paper that we're going to use for the envelopes. Now, since this part is going to be glued on the cover itself, I need not bother about that, but I need to figure out the page that I'm going to be using here. And in this case, what I would do is I'm going to take the background papers, because that way background papers, that way I get to cover this part. And another thing is that when I'll be putting the cards or tags in, they will not cover the, you know, the actual image that is over here. So also these are the reasons why I have provided two backing papers, because I thought that would be enough, you know, like you can use many things. You can cover this with music paper, any hymnals that you have, or book pages, whatever. But I'm going to be using this, and I will see if I can cover the entire. So I'm going to be using this paper throughout, just to bring a kind of semblance to this one. Okay, this is kind of the paper backgroundish kind of look, so I want to bring a kind of similarity between the front and the back. So I'll trim these papers and I'll show you how they would look on the envelopes, because I might stitch them, I'm not sure. I will decide later. First I'll have to glue these down, and then I'm going to be trimming these down a little bit, and then I'll decide whether I want to stitch them or if I don't want to stitch them at all. But probably I will go with the stitched look. Yes, that's how I think. So I'll probably glue this down, glue the paper down. Let me show you what I mean by this. So what I'll do is I'll just guesstimate. Now you won't be seeing this part. No, you won't get to see till the bottom. So I'm not going to be covering the bottom part. I'm just going to be gluing from this side, and I'll just leave a little bit showing through, because when I'm going to ink, then this will have a matted kind of look. So this is the measurement that I'll go for, and I'll tell you the exact measurements. Okay, so so when I trimmed down these envelopes, they came down to around 3 1/4. Okay, so I'm going to be trimming this around 3 1/4, but then I'm going to just take a sliver off, so that way you'll get that matted look that I'm going for. Okay, so I'm going to be trimming these down, and I'll be back. So I have glued one of these down, and just going to show you how I've done this. I've not glued till the end, but the extra paper that I had, I've just tucked it in and glued it down, because I want this to be a little bit sturdy when we put our tags and journal cards or whatever in, because these will have the long tags that come in the kit. I'll just show you. So there are around 12 long tags that come in the kit, like these. They will perfectly go inside this, and then we can put something over here also. So when you put this in, automatically something or the other will cover this blankish background kind of paper, and they are in turn are going to be glued over here and probably stitched too. The stitching part will come later on. Before that, I just want to glue the papers and see how it looks. Of course, there's going to be stitching. Okay, so let me finish these two and show you what I mean by these. So here we have the envelope that we have cut down, and here is the paper. Now this if I use this paper, this is a little bit on the wider side. So what I did was I just took off a sliver, absolutely a sliver, not more than that, because that way it's going to be best. It'll have that matted kind of look. Just a minute. Okay, so you can see a little bit of the edge showing through if this is not visible. I hope you can see it. You'll see it more clearly once I ink it, because now they are in the elementary stage. So let me glue this down. So I'm going to glue this paper. I hope you people loved this kit as much as I loved creating this. And thank you, Cindy, for making a purchase, and also so many ladies who have been supporting me. Thank you, Barbara. How can I thank you ladies enough? Okay, so this has moved a little. Never mind. You know, whatever little flaws there are, it's going to be managed when. So now we have this part extra, and what I did was I just took this, I folded this, because then I will you know, I will punch in a half circle or something. So this is a little bit showing through. Done. So this is going to be like this. Okay, I can probably put a velcro over here. We'll see when it comes to that. That can be done later on. So this is going to be our pocket, and this is going to be the, you know, the envelope kind of thing. So we have done 2 of these, and now we need to work on the third one. So my measurements were 3 1/4, but then I took off a sliver, okay, and we'll see how much can be done. So you can glue this envelope first and then lay the paper also. I think that was the first process that I did, and then I decided to, I think this has to be taken off a little bit more. Just a minute. If it doesn't bother you, then you can go with it, but since I wanted that matted look, I want this to be a little bit shorter, not shorter, less wide than the envelope, actual envelope. So I'm going to be gluing this and then folding this up. So it's just tucking it in, nothing fancy. That's it. So we have our envelopes covered. Now we need to let this dry a while, and then we'll come back and finish them. But right now, let me show you what I mean by this. So this is going to be one envelope, this is going to be the other, and this is going to be the third envelope. Okay, now what we can do is we can choose the papers that we want to put below. If I want, I can put this and then decorate this later on. Or I can directly use some items from here. Those I have fussy cut. I've not yet fussy cut them, just sort of figured them out, you can say. But we'll come to that later on. So here are the envelopes. Now I'm going to stitch these envelopes and come back to show you how they look. But this needs to dry a little bit, so probably that's going to be the next day or some hours later, because I don't want to mess with the sewing machine. My sewing machine hates to sew through glue, so we'll be patient about that and keep watching. Once they dry, I'm going to stitch and then I'll come back to show you the update. So bye everybody, have a great day.